Hey movie watchers, welcome to today's video. Now, I caught a ton of slack from Marvel fans about my first video on why Avengers Endgame is a bad movie. If you haven't seen my first video on why I think Avengers Endgame is a bad movie, I'll put it up in the card box right here for you. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go check that out whenever you feel like. But this video right here is why Avengers Endgame is a bad movie, clearly explained, or why Avengers Endgame is a bad movie, part 2. Now, I've got 20 reasons why I think it's a bad movie. Some are just things that I think are kind of dumb, and some are actual plot holes in the movie that I do not believe can be explained. I'm going to go through all 20 in Q&A format. I'll ask the question and read off some of the best answers I was given. Some questions still don't have answers yet, so if you have answers to them, leave them in the comment section down below. Let's get into this. Question 1. How did Captain Marvel save Nebula and Iron Man in space in the beginning of the movie? Best answer I have so far is common sense suggests the post-credit scene from Captain Marvel would lead us to believe that the Avengers sent her to get them. To which I say, if we're applying common sense here, then how did she get there so fast? And how did she bring them back so fast? You see, I thought Tony and Nebula were light years away. Light years away. Can Captain Marvel fly 10 times the speed of light? 5 times? 2? Anything? Also, I thought the ship was actually running out of oxygen, as explained by Tony. How does Captain Marvel showing up in space at all for any reason all of the sudden put oxygen inside the spaceship for Tony to breathe? Question number 2. What in the world is with all of this snapping crap, this snap business? Are the Infinity Stones like the Marvel equivalent of like Dorothy's slippers? Really? Why do they only do their thing after someone snaps? Why isn't wearing the gauntlet enough to use their power? I currently do not have an answer for this question. So far, people have just told me that that's just the way they wrote it, and you just have to go with it. To which I say I think that's dumb. Question number 3. How did Thanos destroy the Infinity Stones? I thought they were infinite. Infinite things have no end and have no beginning. I've got 2 answers. Answer number 1, the stones were not destroyed. They were reduced to atoms, and therefore your point is invalid. Okay, did you guys skip middle school science? Do you remember how small an atom actually is? Okay, the thickness, not the length, the thickness of a single human hair is 1 million atoms wide. 1 million. So by this answer, what you are saying is that the power within the Infinity Stones is somehow been divided amongst its tens of billions of atomic shards and is still somehow functioning as intended. That's just silly. That is not a reasonable answer. Answer number 2. The stones were actually created a long time ago. If the stones were created, then therefore they can be destroyed. He explains in the movie that he used the stones on themselves. To which I say that's paradoxical and is in no way an explanation of how he took magical stones and used their own magic to render themselves useless. Just saying it out loud actually sounds stupid. Used magical stones to render their magical selves useless. How does that make sense? How is that reasonable? Question number 4. How did Thanos not die when he supposedly destroyed the Infinity Stones? They are exponentially more powerful than he is, yet he somehow survived. I know he was injured, but they're Infinity Stones that far vastly, way more powerful than Thanos could ever be, but his arm was hurt. So, it almost killed him, but whatever. I don't have an answer for this question, so I'm just going to go to question number 5. Question number 5. Why is Black Widow the only hero that's actually doing anything? There is still 3.5 billion people in the world. People would still need saving because crime right now would probably have gone like rampant. Governments would need rebuilding, militaries, local law enforcement, infrastructure, everything would need rebuilding. As superheroes, they are needed now more than they have ever been needed before in this universe. You see, real heroes act heroically, and even in hard times, and even in times of defeat, they step up to the challenge. They rise to the challenge to make the world a better place. Why are all of these heroes less than heroes? The filmmakers had a really good opportunity to show good examples of heroic behavior, of heroism, but instead they just made everyone depressed and sorry and quitters and weak. There's currently no good answer for this question. Question number 6. Why did they remove the masculinity of so many of the male characters? Why did they mess with the characters so much to the point in which, in my opinion, are unrecognizable? The only real answers I got for this question are as follows. 1. I didn't notice, and I think that you are exaggerating. I guess that's fair. 2. They didn't, and you are just a expletive, stupid, alt-right expletive who sees what they want to see because you are all expletive, mentally expletive jokes. That guy is clearly a reasonable thinker. Look, the way I see it, Fat Thor isn't really that funny. It's funny on the surface, but not anything more than that. He got depressed and he drank himself into obesity. That's not really that funny. That's a real issue real people struggle with, and some people it costs them their lives and the lives of people around them. In my opinion, this is obviously pandering to a particular community and continuing to tell this story that men are just these fat, lazy, stupid bums. Professor Hulk, who became like celebrity dad, taking pictures with kids instead of helping bring the Avengers back together or working on modern medical advancements. He wore normal clothes to cover up his masculine figure, and he was utterly ashamed and disgusted at himself for being a rage monster from one of the previous movies. More pandering to a particular community. Cap was a normal-sized man instead of his normal CGI size, and he was extremely depressed, overtly sensitive to everyone else's feelings, and in my opinion, they just stripped all 3 of these characters of their character. It's just as disappointing as Game of Thrones Season 8 to me. Question number 7. How did Tony solve time travel? By just running a few theoretic models like after dinner? As the movie watcher, am I just going to have to believe that he's really that smart? Best answer I have to this question is, long discussion short here, that he basically solved it on accident, and that's the surprised look that you see on his face whenever he sits in the chair. Apparently he is just as surprised because he didn't expect to solve it either, but he kind of came across it happenstance, so to speak. To which I say, okay, look, I can work with that. I'll buy that. It's a little convenient, but honestly, I can live with that. So you get that one. Question number 8. The Ancient One explains Infinity Stones are holding time together, and that removing a stone creates a branch in time. So how can Thanos or anyone else take all 6 Infinity Stones and not cause like a massive issue with all of time itself? If they remove the stones from that timeline and they bring them back into the current timeline, then what is holding the other timeline together? Does the other timeline even exist anymore? And how is this timeline even together considering that Thanos destroyed the Infinity Stones? The best answer I have here is, why are you so critical? Why can't you just watch the movie and enjoy it? That's clearly not an answer. Question number 9. The Ancient One refuses to give up her stone at first, but then just like really quickly hands it over in a second because he told her that Strange does it in the future. And does this not contradict how Strange's movie, that takes place after this point in time, mind you, that she has to be like convinced to train him, even though she supposedly knows that he is considered the best of them? The best answer I have here is, yes, this is a contradiction of the Doctor Strange movie, but just overlook it because it's not that bad. Okay, I'll overlook that one. Question number 10. I didn't actually think about this till way after the movie, but Where are the stakes in the movie? Now that time travel is introduced and the traveling in time does not affect the current timeline you're on, you can now just go back in time and fix anything you want to. If you can go to the past and remove Infinity Stones and then go back to that same past and put them back in place, then why can't you just keep going back and forth in time to get as many Pym particles as you need to just do all the time traveling you want? The best answer I have to this is the stakes are if they don't succeed, then they don't get to bring everyone back. To which my response is if they don't succeed this time, they can just keep trying until they do succeed, because time travel is very convenient that way. Question number 11. If there are now just like new timelines on top of new timelines, how can they navigate which timeline they are jumping into? Every time they go from their own timeline to another timeline, they essentially are creating a new timeline. So how do they know which timeline they're navigating to? Can they pick and choose which timeline that they want to enter? I'm not really sure. I don't have an answer on this question. If you have one, please put it in the description box below. Question 12. Is nobody worried about the lives of all these people in all these other timelines? Shouldn't someone care about the lives of those people in that timeline? I thought they were people too. Isn't everyone people? The timeline that they travel back to in order to get the stones from, they basically beat themselves up and ultimately prevent themselves from completing their mission in that timeline. So does Hydra win in that timeline? And is no one upset about that? That seems upsetting to me. It's clearly like a, look, it's them, just let them, they can fight their own timeline. We gotta fight our timeline. I don't have an answer on this question either. Question 13. How does Nebula pull Thanos and company and ship to the future? You see, I thought Pym particles, as established in this movie, were needed in order to time travel. How many Pym particles are needed to pull Thanos and company through to the future? And did she have that many? Also, how did she figure out time travel in the 60 seconds that she was in the future? She knew how to work that time travel device so well that she could locate Thanos and company in their respective place in space and pull them into the future flawlessly without ever have practicing it before. The best answer I have to this question is stop asking questions and just try to enjoy the movie. Question 14. How did Doctor Strange transport everyone to the battlefield? How did he know about the battle? How did he communicate with everyone else about the battle? If all this is possible, then that is essentially time travel. Is it not? Couldn't he just open portals all throughout time and space? At this point, he basically used portals, which are in essence time travel. When I ask this question, so far the best answer I have is I will have to think about that and I will get back to you. And so far, no one has gotten back to me. Question 15. How do you explain the power level differences and the changes in some of the characters? Thor by himself was powerful enough to take on Thanos with all 6 stones. Yet somehow Thanos beats the crap out of Thor, Iron Man, and Cap without any stones. Thanos walks right through the Hulk in a previous movie, but then is like decently challenged by Captain America in Endgame. Look, I'm pretty sure the writers are just doing whatever they want to do, but the best answer I have been given really isn't that bad. The best answer is, Travis, have you ever been in a fight before? I replied, yes, I've been in plenty throughout my younger years. He said, then surely you understand how you performed differently in one fight compared to another fight. I don't know that this is the correct answer, but it makes sense to me if you think about it. To which I replied, that's actually a good point. That does make sense. I will accept that as an answer. Question number 16. How was Cap able to use, I don't know how to say it, Mjolnir? The hammer, when in another movie it was established that he could not use it. And at one point he's using Stormbreaker. How? Also, how did he call upon the lightning, which, according to Marvel, has nothing to do with the hammer, and only Thor can do that? By the way, Thor is over 1,500 years old, according to his bio on Marvel.com. Also, according to his bio, he is a god, the god of thunder, who can control the stormy forces of nature, separate from the hammer and the axe. Answer A. Captain America has been worthy since Age of Ultron. He could have picked up the hammer if he wanted to, but he chose not to because he did not want to hurt Thor's feelings. Oh, how thoughtful of Cap to do such a thing. In Age of Ultron, the fact that the hammer shakes a tiny bit is not evidence that he could have wielded it, but chose not to. It's evidence that he tried to, could almost have, but ultimately could not. Answer 2. Answer B. After he confessed to his lie, he became worthy. This could be a viable answer, however, there is no evidence to support this. He didn't pick it up in one movie, and then he picked it up in another movie. They should have tied these 2 points together, rather than making us guess and assume at when he became worthy and how he became worthy. Answer C, which is the only one I actually liked, was that Odin had placed a magical spell on the hammer, which essentially gave the hammer consciousness. So the hammer can decide at any given time who is worthy and who is not. Now, this isn't a terrible explanation. There's no evidence in the movie franchise for it. However, there is apparently evidence in the comic books and the source material for it, so I am told. So it's not a terrible answer, but I can work with it. And as far as Cap calling upon the lightning, no one has even attempted to answer this question for me. So, ultimately, because it doesn't make any sense. Question 17. How is Captain Marvel able to do more against Thanos when he has all 6 Infinity Stones than Cap, Iron Man, and Thor combined when he doesn't have any of the Infinity Stones? The only answer here is that she was absorbing power from the gauntlet and therefore making her really, really strong, really overpowered. The problem with that theory is if that's true, then how is it that when Thanos pulls the Power Stone off the gauntlet and just punches her in the face, that she flies off? Why wouldn't she be able to absorb that energy as well? Also, if she's still absorbing energy from 5 of the stones on the gauntlet, how is the 1 Power Stone more powerful than all 5 of those stones combined? Obviously, this is not a reasonable explanation, and in my opinion, is more pandering to a particular community. Question 18. How can Iron Man remove all 6 stones from the gauntlet and put them on his own, like, I don't know, Iron Man gauntlet thing that I guess he just like brought with him in case of emergency? How did just touching one of them not kill him? Okay, like this happens in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. Okay, someone touches the Infinity Stone. I don't remember which one it is. Someone touches it and they like die instantly. Okay, how was Tony able to grab all of them, put them on his suit, and didn't like instantly vaporize? How is he even strong enough to snap his fingers, whereas like the Hulk couldn't snap his fingers? The best answer I have here is because Iron Man is a badass. Okay. All right, cool. Good answer. Question 19. Cap goes back to the past to live with Peggy, which causes like all kinds of problems with the timeline and stuff. And if it's a new timeline, then how is he sitting on the bench as an old man? If it's the same timeline, then how does that work according to the explanation given in the movie? Also, what about his shield? How did he get his shield back? Did he steal Captain America's shield from that other timeline? Is Cap really running around that timeline shieldless? Okay, so I have discussed this at great lengths with people, multiple people, and no answer actually answers the question without creating other questions or without creating other problems within the timeline or within the theory that's explained in the movie. So I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole trying to explain them here, but ultimately no answer can really explain how they deal with Cap being at the end of the movie on the bench and the port, like nothing can really tie all this together in a way that actually makes complete sense. You kind of just have to take it as canon and move on, which I refuse to do, by the way. Question 20. How did Cap return all of the Infinity Stones to their respective places? Why would they send everyone back to retrieve the Infinity Stones, but only send Cap by himself back to put the stones back in their places. Wouldn't he have, like, not run into the same encounters when putting them back as they all ran into when they all tried to take them in the first place? Did he, like, fight everyone off all by himself? The best answer I have here is go and watch the Russo brothers explanation videos, and you will find answers to this question and to all of your other questions. To which I responded with, I have watched some of them, and no, I did not find any answers. All I got out of those videos was, the Russo brothers said, this is why we did it. And there was no follow-up questions, and they basically just accepted it and moved on. So no, I cannot just accept it just because someone said it. So all of these questions are why I thought Avengers Endgame was a bad movie. In my first video, I kind of rambled for like the first 10 minutes or so. That's my bad. I always edit my videos, and on that one, I just posted the raw version. I wanted people to see the kind of natural intellectual thought processes that were going on in my head as I was kind of talking and venting about my dislikes about the movie, rather than my normal kind of straight to the point videos that I typically post. To answer a common question that I got with my last video is, why can't I just sit back and enjoy the movie as it is? My answer is, I can do this. I'm actually very good at doing this, and I do this all the time. There are lots and lots of movies and shows that I really enjoy watching, and I still watch them, even though I think they're bad, even though critically, they would be considered what I would call a bad movie or a bad show. But for one, this is a movie review channel, and I can't just overlook inconsistencies in movies all of the time and say that every movie was an enjoyable movie. As a movie review channel, I need to be critical because that's what this channel is about. And two, this movie has an amazing budget, 20 plus years of stories and characters to build off of and grow. Okay, it's got decades of comics and source materials to pull from, a massive, massive fan base, and they had their pick of the litter when it came to directors, cinematographers, CGI teams, set design teams. They could have had anything they wanted, basically. When you have that many resources available to you, we expect you to make a good movie. Plain and simple. And I just think it's a shame, and ultimately I'm just disappointed with the film. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, some of you probably don't, but like, subscribe, and share for me. I've got more reviews coming your way, so check back soon for those, and I'll see you on the next one.